Today we're going to be visiting Bell's Tavern, located in Park City, Kentucky, in the heart of Kentucky's cave country. Bell's Tavern was built by Revolutionary War veteran Colonel William Bell. The inn became a hot spot. Built during the mid-19th century, the tavern was gutted by fire just prior to the Civil War. The family intended to rebuild the structure, however, the outbreak of the war prevented them from completing the project. One book that many believe is possibly one of the best histories written of Bell's Tavern is a book that was published in 1939. The title of that book is Kentucky, A Guide to the Bluegrass State. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. In the 1820s, this area was a crossroads between three major roads. Bell's Tavern was an area where travelers on stagecoaches could stop, find aid and accommodations, and also there was a saloon and a store built near as well. The first structure was made out of wood. As patronage grew, the structure grew itself as more and more additions were added on. The reputation of Bell's Tavern and the hospitality that was shown by Colonel Bell brought in patrons from all over the world, all over the United States and even parts of Europe. Coffee was served from a silver pot that was carried from table to table by Bell's favorite slave, a timeless old gentleman named Jim, who had served both George Washington and Thomas Jefferson in his youth. After the death of Colonel Bell in January of 1853, his son's widow, Mrs. Robert Slaughter Bell, continued to run Bell's establishment and maintain the tavern's reputation for the remaining years of its existence. Bell's Tavern was completely destroyed by fire in the late 1859 or early 1860s. Mrs. Proctor planned to rebuild a magnificent stone structure in its place, the proportions and appointments of which would be worthy of the tavern's reputation. The building was to be 105 feet in length and about 60 feet wide. The outbreak of the Civil War doomed completion of the new tavern that was begun by Colonel Bell's grandson, William F. Bell, and his stepfather, George M. Proctor. The massive walls of dressed stone had reached a height of 15 feet or so before the work stopped, never to be resumed. In the year 1859, a more important endeavor was completed. Right by its side, the Louisville and Nashville Railroad. In the dark days of the Civil War, George Proctor made plans to help finance an important spur of this railroad to nearby Glasgow, Kentucky, and also a spur to take tourists to the nearby Mammoth Cave. By 1859, Three Forks was a sleepy village with about 75 inhabitants. It was universally known as Bell's Tavern for the town's famous hotel and was the departure point for the 8-mile trip to Mammoth Cave. Approximately 1.5 miles north of Bell's Taverns, very near to the road to Mammoth Cave, a slave of landowner Jesse Coates discovered a pit in the rocky bottom of the valley on 14th of July, 1859. He was lowered on a rope into the cave and became the first visitor into what is now known as Diamond Caverns. In addition to running Bell's Tavern with his wife, George Proctor showed the Diamond Cave to travelers. At the same time, his brother Larkin Proctor managed the Mammoth Cave Hotel and also owned the stage line that served Bell's Tavern, Diamond Cave, and Mammoth Cave. On 12th of December 1859, Maria Proctor's uncle, Joseph Rogers Underwood, a renowned Bowling Green lawyer and senator, brought Diamond Cave and 156 acres from Jesse Coates for $1,200. In addition to owning the Diamond Cave property, Underwood was also the managing trustee of the Mammoth Cave estate, which had once been owned by Maria Gorinth. Franklin Gorinth Underwood was responsible for making Mammoth Cave a commercial success. The Civil War effectively shut down visitation to Diamond Cave as well as Mammoth Cave. Guerrilla raids during the Civil War, use of the railroad for military purposes, and dreadful economic conditions that followed ended tourist travel on the roads and the railroads. The vine-covered walls, arched windows, and moss-grown steps have remained for over 150 years as a magnificent testament to Mrs. Proctor's plans for reviving her father-in-law's hospitality. Maria Gorinth Bell Proctor sadly passed away in 1865 at the close of the Civil War at the age of 44. Colonel Bell's favorite slave, Old Jim, that we mentioned earlier, was buried in an apple orchard nearby the location of Bell's Tavern. As of the recording of this video, the old Park City Hotel has been converted into a bed and breakfast. You can see the hotel as we drive by in this shot here. The site is a great place for visitors, those interested in the history of Kentucky, and there's just a lot of very interesting things to do in this area. Guys, hope you liked the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, check out the rest of the videos on the channel, check out the links down in the description, and we will see you next time.